Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. One of the most important political polls heading into a midterm election year is this one.
This is our generic ballot question. We ask this all the time. Which party do you want to see control Congress? This is with an eye to next year's midterm elections.
And in this NBC News poll from a few weeks ago, Democrats had a clear lead.
Check this out. We have the Democrats with an 8-point advantage here on the generic ballot over Republicans. For some comparison, we checked in earlier this year in the spring, and this was essentially dead even. It was +1 for the Democrats then. It is +8 for the Democrats now.
But again, that was weeks ago. And now, headline, Democrats open biggest polling lead over Republicans in 8 years. Quote, the PBS News NPR Mara survey conducted between November 10th and 13th revealed that 55% of voters would elect a Democratic candidate compared to 41% who would opt for a Republican. The 14-point lead for the Democrats is the party's largest since November 2017. In 2018, during Trump's first term, the Democrats won more than 40 seats in the House of Representatives in the midterm elections. In other words, the political world is looking at another tsunami in 2026, sweeping in Democrats and washing away Republicans. And in the battle over control of the U.S. House, the news for Republicans keeps getting worse.
Got some big breaking news out of the state of Texas. A panel of judges on a federal court have ruled against using that highly controversial redrawn congressional map in the Lone Star State. This ahead of next year's midterm elections. Instead, lawmakers will use the lines drawn back in 2021. Now, those maps signed into law this year would have given Republicans in the state of Texas a shot at picking up 5 more seats in Congress.
One of the judges who ruled against the Republicans' Texas redistricting map was appointed by Donald Trump. And while the GOP is appealing the ruling, legal experts say that a reversal is unlikely.
When the state of Texas decided to draw this new map, it did so at the instigation of the Department of Justice that basically told Texas that its prior map was a racial gerrymander. The problem is that its prior map was not a racial gerrymander. In fact, Republicans in the state said they drew it without refer to race at all. So when the state of Texas then went about using race to deconstruct what was not a racial gerrymander, it effectively engaged in racial gerrymandering, and that is what the federal 3-judge panel found today. It's an opinion 160 pages long, very well reasoned. Frankly, approaches the issue from a judicial conservative standpoint, and written by an appointee of Donald Trump's.
In other words, instead of picking up seats through redistricting, Republicans will likely lose several. Because while Texas has been rejected by a court, there is no court challenge to the California ballot measure, which passed overwhelmingly a few weeks ago, redrawing that state's congressional districts to boost Democrats. Of course, all of the congressional redistricting strategies might not matter if Republicans were simply polling better. But as we noted at the start of this video, the GOP is in the worst shape in 8 years in the generic head-to-head against Democrats. And political analysts say the biggest drag on GOP lawmakers is their party leader, Donald Trump. Even in the latest Fox News poll, Trump's approval rating has reached a new low.
President Trump's approval rating falling to 38%. That is the lowest it's been in his second term. People are unhappy with Trump's handling of consumer prices and, yes, the Epstein files. Kim Strassel joining us this morning. Does this mean Trump's affordability messaging isn't working yet?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, Stuart. And this is a huge wake-up call for Republicans. And if you actually look at Trump's approval rating, it actually has been sliding for a while. And I think what happened here is voters had a lot of optimism that he really was going to turn around the economy. And they've given him, 9 months now, and they've been waiting. But suddenly they've been looking around, and things really haven't improved to the degree that they thought they would.
And never mind things improving, they haven't stayed the same. They have gotten worse. Although you won't hear any such admission of reality from the Trump administration. Here's Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins.
And Larry, one of the great untold stories is in just 10 months, almost everything does cost less.
Everything does cost less? not coffee. Under Trump the past 10 months, coffee has gone up 15%. Uncooked ground beef is up 14%. Uncooked beefsteaks 10%. Banana 7.9%. Fresh cakes 6%. Lettuce 5.9%. Frozen juices and drinks 4.4%. Lunch meats 4.2%. And never mind Trump cabinet secretaries lying about prices and affordability. The president himself keeps spewing out absurdities.
Prices are down under the Trump administration, and they're down substantially. The reason I don't want to talk about affordability is because everybody knows that it's far less expensive under Trump than it was under Sleepy Joe Biden, and the prices are way down.
The prices are way down, says Trump. Here's CNN fact checker Daniel Dale.
None of that is true, Boris. Prices are up during this administration. There has been inflation every month of this administration. Moreover, the pace of inflation has accelerated now for 5 consecutive months. It hit 3% in September, so prices in September were 3% higher than they were a year prior, and they were 1.7% higher than they were in January, the month that President Trump returned to office. Now, he keeps saying that every single price is down. I think the overall numbers show that is clearly not true, and I think Americans know that. If you look at the CPI, Consumer Price Index data, it'll show you that thousands of individual products have increased in price since President Trump returned to the White House.
So not only are prices rising, but the public keeps seeing Donald Trump and his cabinet sycophants lying about it all. And together, the bad economy and the distrust are having an impact on Donald Trump and his party.
But overall, he's not performed, and that's what the polls are saying. He's not lived up to people's expectations. So Republicans, they got a lot of work to do in a short period of time before the midterms.
To be fair, a year is an eternity in politics, and a lot can change between now and November 2026. Perhaps the economy will defy analyst predictions and get better. And maybe the Epstein files, instead of further angering the public about Trump, will clear him. But wishful thinking is all the Republicans seem to have right now. And in the reality-based world, Democrats are looking at a wave election in 2026 with gains and margins that now look staggering. By the way, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson seems to be in danger of losing his gavel well before the 2026 midterms. Johnson's weak standing just got underscored by an epic repudiation from Senate Republicans on the Epstein files.
And so I'm very confident that when this moves forward in the process, if and when it is processed in the Senate, which there's no certainty that that will be, that they will take the time methodically to do what we have not been allowed to do in the House, to amend this discharge petition.
I think when a bill comes out of the House 427-1 and the president said he was going to sign it, I'm not sure that amending it is in the cards.
Any reaction to Leader Thune, you seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I'm deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from John, who wrote, "Johnson is a Trump stooge. He's not a leader in any way, shape, or form." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about congressional Republicans facing their worst public polling in years. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.